Hello, my name is Stanislava and I am responsible for the British Center at the State Scientific Library in Banská Bystrica. Today I will be reading to you from the book called A Christmas Carol, written by Charles Dickens. It is one of the most popular Christmas stories in English literature. It is the story of a man called Ebenezer Scrooge. He is not a nice man. He loves money and he doesn't like people, not even his nephew Fred. He really doesn't like Christmas. But then some ghosts visit him. They show him his past, his life now, and a possible future. So first, let me read to you about Scrooge and his meeting with Fred, his nephew. Scrooge was a hard man, and he loved money. He was a cold man too, a man without any friends. His old face was cold, blue with cold. Cold was with him everywhere. He took it with him always. He took it to the office of Scrooge and Marley. The office was cold in the summer, but at Christmas time it was colder than the snow outside. And when he left the office, he looked cold too. Nobody stopped Scrooge in the street and said, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come and see me?" People knew him, but poor people didn't ask him for a penny. Children didn't ask him, "What time is it?" Men and women didn't ask him for help. Dogs knew Scrooge too. They ran away from him. Scrooge was happy about all that. He liked it. He didn't want to be with people. It was Christmas Eve, and old Scrooge was busy at his desk. A man came into the office. His name was Fred. "Merry Christmas, Uncle," said Fred with a happy smile. "Bah," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas? Humbug!" Fred's face was red from the cold outside. He laughed, and when he laughed with his eyes too. He was cold from outside, but it was colder in Scrooge's office. "You don't mean that, Uncle," he said. "Yes, I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas! Bah! Why are you merry? How can you possibly feel merry? You're too poor for that." "Oh," Fred laughed, "how can you possibly feel sad? You're too rich for that." Scrooge had no better answer, so he said, "Bah!" again. Then he followed it with, "Merry Christmas? Humbug!" "Don't be angry, Uncle," said Fred. "Angry?" said the uncle. "Yes, I'm angry. I'm angry because I live in a world with happy people in it. Merry Christmas. Why? What's Christmas to you? You want things, but you haven't got the money for them. You're a year older, but not richer. You haven't got as much money as you had last Christmas. People say, 'Merry Christmas,'" said Scrooge angrily. "But I think I'd like to eat those people for Christmas dinner." "Oh, Uncle," said Fred with a smile. "Young Fred," said the uncle, "have your Christmas, and I'll have mine. Was Christmas good to you in the past?" "It was great," said Fred. "Christmas is a good time, a kind, happy time. Everybody likes being with people. It's the only time in the year when that happens. And so, Uncle, Christmas was always a good time for me. It didn't make me rich, but it made me happy. And I say, Merry Christmas, everybody." "Humbug," said Scrooge. "Don't be angry, Uncle. Come and have dinner with us tomorrow on Christmas Day." "No," said Scrooge. And again, "No, good afternoon." "But I don't want anything from you. Why can't we be friends?" "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. "So you won't come. I'm sorry about that. We were always friends, and because it's Christmas, I want to be a good friend now. So I will say, Merry Christmas, Uncle, and a Happy New Year to you." "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. Now I will read to you about how Scrooge is visited by the ghost of Mr. Marley. Mr. Marley was his business partner before he died. Scrooge went out and the clerk shut the office. He ran home as fast as he could. He forgot all about work and played with his children. Scrooge had dinner in a cheap eating house and then went home. He had rooms in Marley's old house. They were dark and cold. The other rooms in the house were offices now. Only Scrooge lived there. He opened the door and went in. He lit a candle. Then he walked through his rooms. Was everything in its place? He went into the sitting room, the bedroom, and a little office near the bedroom. His money was in this office. Everything was all right. There was nobody under the table, nobody under the bed. His money was there in the office. There was a small fire in the sitting room. He shut the door and sat down by the fire. He heard the noise of a heavy chain down below. The noise came up the stairs, nearer and nearer his door. "Humbug!" said Scrooge. "What is that noise?" Something came through the heavy door and into the room. The little fire suddenly came to life, red and yellow. It was Marley. Marley in his old clothes. Scrooge knew those clothes well. There was a chain around him, a chain with money on it and money boxes and money bags. Scrooge looked at Marley. He could see through him. He could see the back of his coat. "Well," said Scrooge coldly, "what do you want?" "A lot." Yes, it was Marley. "Who are you?" Scrooge asked, but he knew. "You mean, who was I?" "Who were you then?" said Scrooge. "In life, I was Jacob Marley. Don't you know me?" said the ghost. "No," said Scrooge, "I don't." But he did. "Your eyes say it is Marley," said the ghost. "Are your eyes wrong?" "Yes," said Scrooge. "My eyes are wrong. Why not? I think I ate something bad. And now I'm seeing you. I think you're bad meat. Not Marley. Humbug." The ghost gave a loud cry and made a really loud noise with its chain. Its mouth fell open, and it was the mouth of a dead man. Scrooge fell down on the floor and looked up at the ghost. He put his hands in front of his face. "Why?" he cried. "Why are you here? You're dead." "Now," said the ghost, "do you think I'm Jacob Marley? Dead Jacob Marley?" "I do," said Scrooge. "I do. But why are dead people walking the streets, and why does one come to me?" "It is good," answered the ghost, "to be with other people. It is good to be happy when they are happy. It is good to be sad when they are sad. But some people do not do this in life. And what happens to them, do you think?" "I don't know," said Scrooge. "Their ghosts walk the streets of the world when they are dead. Their ghosts see happy people but cannot laugh with them. Their ghosts see sad people but cannot cry with them. Their ghosts have to do these things because they did not do them in life." Again, the ghost gave a cry and moved its chain. "You've got a chain," said Scrooge, now very afraid. "Why? Tell me." "I made this chain in my life," answered the ghost, "and I am wearing it now. I made it and I put it on. Do you want to know about your chain?" "My chain?" said Scrooge. "What chain?" "You too are making a chain in your life," said Marley's ghost. "Your chain was as heavy and as long as this one when I died." "What?" "And in the next 7 years you made it heavier and longer." "Don't tell me more," said Scrooge. "I'm afraid. Make me happier. Talk about something different. I can't, the ghost answered. I can't stay here. I have to go to a new place, always a new place. In life, I worked and worked. I was always in the office. I never stopped making money. But now I have to go to many sad places. Always a new place. Every day, every minute. Dead for 7 years, thought Scrooge, and never in one place. Yes, all the time, said the ghost. I'm always moving, never happy. This time of the year is the worst. Why in the past did I turn my eyes away when I walked near people? Why didn't I look at the poor homes? Why didn't I help poor people? Listen to me. I will, said Scrooge. I will, but don't be angry with me. I sat next to you many times in the days after I died. This was not a nice thought for Scrooge. I am here tonight, the ghost said, because I have to tell you something. I can help you. You were always a good friend to me, said Scrooge. Thank you. 3 ghosts will come, said the ghost of Jacob Marley. When? Asked Scrooge. The first ghost will come at 1 o'clock. You will hear the church clock and you will see him. The second ghost will come on the next night at the same time, and the third on the next night at midnight. You will hear midnight on the church clock. And you? Asked Scrooge. You won't see me again, said Marley's ghost, but remember my words. The ghost walked back away from Scrooge. It walked and the window opened at the same time. When the ghost was at the window, Scrooge heard, from outside, the cries of the sad people in the world. The ghost listened for a minute, and it cried too, and then it went out into the night. Scrooge went to the window and looked out. There were ghosts outside. They walked up and down the street, and they cried. They all wore a chain. Scrooge knew some of these ghosts from before, when they were men. They cried because they wanted to help other people, but now they couldn't. Then the ghosts went into the fog, and Scrooge couldn't hear them. The night was quiet again. Scrooge closed the window. He checked the door. He tried to say humbug, but stopped. Then he went to bed with his clothes on and fell asleep. So now I will read about how Scrooge meets with the ghost of past Christmases. When Scrooge opened his eyes again, it was dark. He looked from his bed, but he couldn't see the window. It was as dark as the walls of the room. He listened. Then he heard the church clock. 1 o'clock, thought Scrooge, and nothing. But then a light came into the room. He sat up, and there, at the end of his bed, was a ghost. The ghost was a child, but also not a child. It was an old man not bigger than a child. Its long hair was white, old man's hair, but the face was young. The ghost's clothes were white. It had some Christmas holly in its hand, but there were some flowers on the clothes. The strangest thing was a white light. It came from the top of the ghost's head, and the ghost had a hat under its arm. Perhaps it put the hat over the light when it wanted to put out the light. Marley said, 3 ghosts will come to you, and you are the first ghost? Asked Scrooge. I am, said the ghost quietly. Who are you, and what are you? Asked Scrooge. I'm the ghost of past Christmases. Which past Christmases? Asked Scrooge. Yours. Please, put on your hat, said Scrooge. Scrooge wanted to see the ghost in its hat. But why? He didn't really know the answer to that. "What?" said the ghost. "Do you want to put out my light? I am giving this light to you. Your bad past life made this hat. Your bad past life put out the light. Come, walk with me." They went through the wall of Scrooge's room and stood on an open country road. It was green everywhere. The city was not there now. The dark and the fog were not there. It was a lovely cold winter day with snow on the ground. Scrooge looked round with wide eyes. He said, "I was born here. I was a boy here." "Do you remember the way?" asked the ghost. "Remember it?" cried Scrooge. "I can close my eyes and walk there." "Then why did you forget it for so many years?" said the ghost. "Let's go." They walked down the road. Scrooge knew every tree. Then they saw a little town with its bridge, its church, and the river. Scrooge saw some boys on horses. They called to other boys. They all shouted happily. People laughed when they heard them. "These are ghosts from the past," said the ghost of past Christmases. "They can't see us." But Scrooge and the ghost were happy to see the children, and Scrooge knew every ghost. These people said "Merry Christmas" to their friends. Then they said goodbye and went home. "They were at school," said the ghost, "and there is one child at the school now when the other children are at home. A child without any friends." "Yes," said Scrooge, I know. And he began to cry. They walked again. Scrooge knew the street well. Then they stopped when they came to a large red house. There was nobody there. A rich man built the house, but then he lost all his money. There weren't any doors or windows in the house now. Scrooge and the host went into the house. They saw a long, ugly room with desks in it. A boy sat at one of the desks and read. Scrooge sat down next to the boy. It was young Scrooge. He cried when he saw his past. The boy read and Scrooge watched. He knew the book well. "Oh, it's Ali Baba!" he cried. "Dear old Ali Baba! Yes, I remember." One Christmas time, when his mother and father weren't at home, Ali Baba came to him in his storybook. Ah, yes, and other people from stories. Robinson Crusoe ran by the sea with Man Friday. "Sad, sad boy," said Scrooge. "I want to give... Oh, but it's too late now." "What do you mean?" asked the ghost. "Nothing," said Scrooge. "Nothing. There was a boy at my door last night. He sang a Christmas carol for me, but I didn't give him any money, and I can't do it now." The ghost smiled. "Let's see another Christmas," it said. Again, Scrooge saw Ebenezer Scrooge in the past, but he was older now. He was very different. His eyes said, "Where's the money? Where's the money?" Money was his life now. Scrooge sat with a young girl. The girl cried and Scrooge watched her. "No," said the girl. "You have a new love now. I hope you will be happy with your new love in the future." "What love?" he asked her. "The love of money. You are a different man now because you have the love of money in your life." He wanted to speak, but she didn't look at him. She said, "I am leaving now. I hope you and your money will be happy." And she left. "Ghost!" cried Scrooge. "Don't show me more. Take me home." But the ghost said, "You have to see in your past one more time, Ebenezer Scrooge." They were in another place, a small but beautiful room. Near the fire there was a lovely young girl, and opposite her sat the mother. The mother was the woman from Scrooge's past. He loved her and then lost her. There was a great noise in the room. There were a lot of very happy, very noisy children. The mother and daughter looked happy too. Then the door opened and the father came in. He had Christmas boxes in his arms. Everybody opened a box and shouted happily. Later, the younger children climbed up the stairs to the top of the house and went to bed. The man sat down by the fire with his daughter and her mother. The husband turned to his wife with a smile. "I saw your old friend this afternoon." "Which old friend?" "Who do you think?" "I don't know." And then she asked, "Was it Ebenezer Scrooge?" "Yes," he said, "it was Mr. Scrooge. I looked in his office window. I saw him by the light of a candle. Mr. Marley is dying, I hear. And there Scrooge sat without a friend in the world." "Ghost!" cried Scrooge sadly. "Take me home." "These are the ghosts of your past," said the ghost. "They are your life. What did you do with your life?" "Leave me! Take me home!" Scrooge took the ghost's hat and put it on the ghost's head. The light went out. Scrooge was in his bedroom at home again. He went to bed and cried. He only stopped crying when sleep came. And now, for last, I will read about how Scrooge meets with the ghost of Christmas Now. The ghost and Scrooge went through the dark night to the next place. They were in a light room. Scrooge heard a happy laugh. It was Fred's laugh. "Ha ha!" laughed Fred. When Fred laughed loudly, his wife always laughed too. Then their friends had to laugh. "My uncle Ebenezer Scrooge says 'humbug' when you say 'Merry Christmas' to him. He does it every time." "That's very bad," said his wife. Fred's wife was very pretty. She had a dear little mouth and lovely big brown eyes. "My uncle is a very funny man," said Fred. "I mean it. He's not nice, but he's very unhappy. So I tried to be kind to him." "He's very rich, Fred," said his wife. "You're always telling me he's rich." "Well, that doesn't help him, my dear. He doesn't buy anything with it. He lives the life of a poor man. He doesn't help people with it. He doesn't think, I'll help that nice Fred and his pretty wife with my money. Ha ha ha. He makes me angry," said his wife. His wife's sisters and the other women said the same. "Oh, I'm so sorry for him," said Fred. "I couldn't be angry with him. Who's unhappy because Scrooge is hard and cold?" "Scrooge is. Only him." "What do you mean?" asked his wife. "He doesn't like us," said Fred. "So he doesn't come and have dinner with us." "Who loses?" "Scrooge loses. He loses a dinner, a very good dinner. But I want to ask him for Christmas dinner again next year, because I'm sorry for him." So next, the last ghost will visit Scrooge, and it is the ghost of future Christmases. The question for the end of the book is, will Scrooge learn from the ghost, and will he be able to change? Thank you for listening.